guess my husband's already up. I was sleeping in. Woohoo! Online teaching. Waking up. Get to it. Let's go. Okay, I'm getting dressed, and this is the look I'm rocking so far. Got my PJs on. Only to dress the top. I guess that's what everybody says. So, wear my sweatpants. My trusty sweatpants. Everyone hates them, but yeah, whatever. Get into regular pants when have to be back at work in the real. I guess one of the weirdest things about this is that I'm not used to narrating my entire life out in the open. I mean, I do talk to myself, but not like this. So this is a strange experience to record every living moment. Hopefully my husband is making my coffee, which is usually what he does in the morning. It's my amazing gift from him, one of the many. But I don't even remember my schedule for today. Ugh, I don't know about wearing these jeans all day. I'm not stepping on that scale, but we'll see how long I make it today without putting sweatpants on. It'll be a nice life goal. Keep it simple, right?
Here I am, helping my husband with the morning chores, but mostly getting in his way.
So, this is my setup. This is what it'll look like pretty much for the entire day. And it's about 7 o'clock-ish, something around there. So I've got my IGCSE 2 class for the first 2 periods. Then I move in with grade 10. So IG2 is like grade 10 equivalent, but in the British system, Cambridge. And then I've got a grade 12 class who aren't coming because most of them are on study leave, but still I leave an open call for that period so that they can drop in if they need help on their essays. And then moving into the afternoon, I've got a double with my research class. So 2 periods with them, periods 9 and 10. But again, probably won't meet with them. I'll have a live call just as a drop-in, possibly, so that they can ask questions about their research papers. But for me, in this online setting, it's a bit lighter than usual. So usually I would be teaching 1, 2, 3, take a break of 15 minutes, period 4, then have lunch, then advisory for 10 minutes, then a free period, then periods 9 and 10, finishing at 3:50. But in online, it's a little bit different. It's going to be a really heavy morning, and I'd like to get to some of my marking that I have been putting off. I don't know. I got all my lists here, but we'll see how that goes. Onwards, more coffee. So here is my class setup. I thought I'd show a little bit of what that looks like. So we use itslearning, and I love it. I've been using it for since September, really, to roll out some course information to my students, even in the brick and mortar classroom. But here is my class setup, and this is my class that I have this morning, periods 1 and 2. I've decided to set this up using pages to help students find their way through the course more easily so that they're not having to click multiple places to find where they need to be. But this is typical of internet stuff. Maybe I just got too much stuff open. Okay, hello internet. What are we doing here? Well, this sometimes happens. So this is the reality of online learning. We don't know why. So I have to go and check this out, see what happened. Maybe it's my Wi-Fi, maybe it's the system, but
Now I'm like, all right, what do I need to do? Got to get ready for 8:20. Okay, so I'm waiting for my computer to restart because of the technical difficulties. So thought I'd get some breakfast. That's breakfast. 7:50. Got to get this tech thing sorted before my students arrive at 8:20. So here we go. Let's go, boys. Okay, so I still have the Wheel of Death going, and it's 8 o'clock, and I got to figure out what to do because students are showing up expecting to have course at 8:20. So I got 20 minutes to figure out what the heck I'm doing. I was able to get into some parts of the course. We'll figure it out, and I will get them the documents probably through Microsoft Teams. I'll just send them over the links that I need them to look at and have them start working. We are going to have a live Teams call at 9:15 anyway, so I will work around the systems that aren't working and hopefully figure this out and get back to you. I love this system, and I'd like to show what that looks like on a perfect day, but it's never a perfect day. Not even, yeah, never. That's one of the difficulties of teaching online during COVID. It's always crisis, and everyone's trying to access the systems at the same time. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Okay, I'm back. Something, I don't know what was going on. But anyway, here is my page for my class that's coming up in 5 minutes. So I'll give you a quick run through of what's going on here. So I set up my page like this so that when students arrive, then they click on this page, and this is the entire week's worth of information. So I always start with a weekly message. This week, we are. So then I just go through a rundown of the things that we're doing in the week and anything I want them to remember or keep in mind. I'll point them to this well-being section that I have down here. And that, I think, works well because, well, I don't know if anybody uses it. I haven't done a survey yet to see if people are using this well-being part. And then you can see over here, this is the online discussion. The students don't really use it. Every time I check, there's nothing in there. So this is not their preferred way of interacting with each other. I don't know how they are interacting with each other, if at all, outside of my engineered class time, but that's where I had intended for them to talk to each other. Then these are the lessons for the week, and yeah, I always put my learning objectives at the top, and then they just work through the lessons at their own pace. I don't really care if they don't follow the exact day that I say that they're supposed to do it on. So even though it says Monday period 1, for those students who are not in the time zone, they can be doing it anytime they want. I've tried to build in different types of activities. So in the first, it's just a little guide, something to keep in mind as they approach this task. Then they have to pick a text from the packet and read it, and then they have to watch a video that my wonderful and talented colleague Sophie made, and about how to look at purpose, audience, context, text type, and tone. So they have to watch that little video, and then we're going to get on our live Teams call at 9:15 to review the information. Okay, it's 8:40 and crisis seems to be averted. Everyone's in the lesson. They're going. So somehow the LMS started working and everyone's in. I had to have a few chats back and forth, so we did like a text chat. And just another word about all the systems that I'm using. So my learning management system and the software that I'm using, I'll post that all down below so you can see all of the tools that I use to do my tech stuff. I still use my good old-fashioned red book. So we call it the red book, but it's the planner. So I use that still, even in online learning, but mostly I'm writing all my stuff down on these very disorganized pieces of paper that, yeah, I don't know. I started that way, it seems to be working for me. I just move things to the back that I'm not working on, and I got my big to-do list, and then I have my marking list. Hey, you see my marking list still doesn't completely get finished, so I just check off. I love the little tick boxes because it makes me feel like I've done something so I'm gonna maybe let them sit with this for a while. I don't have to meet with them until 9:15, so let them work, and I will go and give them some feedback on a Padlet that we did the other day. That's part of my marking, so I might as well sit here and mark as long as I'm not needed at the moment. If they need me, they usually text me on the chat that is in the learning management system. So that's like a text-based chat. And everyone, they can either do that privately to me or it's a group chat for the class. So I'll just monitor that, and every few minutes I check in and say I'm still here, and then at 9:15 we'll head over to Teams, and you can see how that works. Hi there, it's about 9:13, and I'm about to jump on that call with these IG2s to do a little bit of review of the lesson that they're just doing now on their own. And yeah, didn't get a chance to get my second cup of coffee, but I guess that'll come soon after this call. You can follow me in there and see how that looks. All right, good morning, everyone. So here I'm just greeting my students and talking to them about what's going to be happening in the class. So sorry about the technical difficulties this morning, but yeah, I don't know. It's learning is not always working. But let me just review with you. I'm going to share my screen. So here I am in the grade 10 group call, and I'm giving them some instructions, whole group instructions, before I break them into the smaller teams. And before we get started with the day's activity, I will take them back out to remind them what they were doing last class with regard to the issue of race in Othello. So I'm just taking them back out, sharing my screen with the lesson from Friday and reviewing with them exactly what was going on then, so that I can bring them back and they know where they are. So here I am back in Teams, and I've made the groups 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can see that on the left. And then I put my discussion questions in there for the students to have when they go in there. Then I'm going to start to open calls in groups 1, 2, 3, and 4 so that the students can go in there and join in when I tell them to. It's fine?
Yeah, it was good.
Okay, can you have someone take some notes over in the meeting chat area, please? So that I know what you guys talked about. And then if you use the paintbrush little... I often find myself teaching tech tools as well as content. So then it won't send when you press return. Does that make sense? And the discussion went fine? Are you missing anyone from your group? All right, cool. I'm going to call you guys back in about 5 minutes to the main group so we can have a big group discussion, okay? All right, I'll leave you to it. Just make sure you put your summary of what you discussed inside the chat. Last group to check on, group number 4. So that is the wrangling that is trying to get students in Microsoft Teams in the small group discussions. So that class has 24 in it, and I put them into small groups inside Teams. So using the channel function. So I'm gonna pull them back out of these small groups and into the main group, and then I will do a wrap up, a review, give them a few more things to think about, and then close the class out for today. And then they'll come back and use this information next class period. So onwards. Okay, so that call was fine. There were some people who didn't attend, so right now I'm going to be chasing them up. So this requires me to be documenting who came and who didn't, and reaching out to those students about why they weren't in class or what happened. Usually it's a misunderstanding about when and where and how and stuff like that. And I found that giving the benefit of the doubt to these students about why they weren't in class usually ends up being better for me and them. So having an approach that's more like, oh, I'm sorry you didn't make it today. Please let me know how I can support you, and we'd love to see you next time. I mean, nothing ever goes to plan. And if I can get these guys in small groups talking about race in Othello, then it's a success. And I have to just, not expect too much, but know that those interactions, student to student, are important, and that even if the tech is glitchy, it still is valuable exercise for them to connect with each other. It's a lot of moving parts for these guys, and so being patient with them is important. It doesn't always happen. So you need to be in the class when the class starts so that you know what's happening. It sounds like you're a bit lost.
I often have to have these kind of chats with students just to get them back on track.
Yeah, you didn't do the work from Friday, right? Friday, when you were supposed to watch the movie. The 6-minute movie on race in Othello. All right, so you need to go do that first. That's the very, very first thing that you need to go do before you move on with this week's lessons. Is that understood? Any interaction is good interaction as far as I'm concerned, even if some were just observing and not really participating. So right now it's 10:35, and I'm gonna go write some messages to people about where they were and check in with some students. Meant to be in grade 12 right now, but I'll just open up a call, and if people jump in there to ask me questions, then they will. Otherwise, I'll leave them to essays that they're writing, and that should take us up into lunch. I think I'm gonna go put a load of laundry in the dryer, so see how that goes. Check on my family and get back to it.
Even though lunch was prepared by my husband and ready at noon, I didn't actually get to it until about 12:20ish, and then I had to wolf it down and get back to the afternoon session. So from about 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., I'll spend my time knocking things off my to-do list, contacting students to see if they need any extra help or support, and asking them where certain assignments are. I'll be checking my online course multiple times to see if anyone needs me or if all the work has been handed in, and writing emails to colleagues, and perhaps checking my social media, and that will bring me all the way into the late afternoon.
Okay, everyone, that's the end of my day. I worked a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I did get something marked, and I was able to get back to students who had questions for me and return some emails. So that's a wrap. I'm gonna try to get out onto my balcony and do some reading before I go for a walk with my daughter and my husband, which is really important. That is a day in the life of teaching under COVID.